glass tower of Marlowe Innovations shimmered against the morning sun. Polished, powerful, and cold. Inside, people in suits rushed between elevators, their voices crisp, their shoes silent against the marble floors. The air smelled like espresso, ambition, and fear. At exactly 9:15 a.m., the front doors slid open, and a young man stepped in carrying a small brown package tucked under his arm. His gray jacket was clean but plain, his boots dusty from the sidewalk. A delivery badge hung from his pocket, and his hair fell slightly over his forehead. He didn't look like he belonged here, at least not to anyone watching. "Can I help you, sir?" the receptionist asked, her tone polite but mechanical. "Package for Mr. Charles Marlowe," the man said. His voice was calm, steady. "I was told to hand it to him directly." The receptionist's smile stiffened. "I'm afraid Mr. Marlowe doesn't accept direct deliveries. You can leave it here." The man nodded politely. "I'll wait then. It's important." A security guard at the far end frowned. "We don't allow loitering in the lobby. You can drop it and go." The man met his eyes, not angry, not defensive. "No problem. I'll wait quietly." He found a seat in the corner and sat down, resting the package on his knee. Around him, employees whispered. "Poor guy," one muttered. "He has no idea who he's dealing with." "Charles hates interruptions," another said, chuckling. "Bet he'll blow up the moment he sees him." Minutes passed. The young man didn't fidget, didn't scroll through his phone, didn't look nervous. He just waited, calm, observant, his gaze occasionally flicking toward the elevators. Then the silver doors slid open, and Charles Marlowe himself stepped out. Every conversation stopped. The man was in his 50s, his suit perfectly pressed, his tie gleaming. His very presence made people stand straighter. His company had started in a garage 20 years ago and now ruled the tech industry. To his employees, he was a god. To himself, even more so. His eyes landed on the young man near the reception. "What's this?" he snapped, pointing. "Why is there a courier sitting in my lobby?" The receptionist flinched. "He says he has a delivery for you personally, sir." "For me?" Marlowe scoffed. "I don't take deliveries from random people." "What's in the box, son?" "A job application." The man stood, holding out the small brown package. "You're expecting this. It's confidential." "Confidential?" Marlowe's laugh echoed through the lobby. "Look at you, wearing street clothes, holding a beat-up package. You think I'm going to believe that?" The man didn't react. "I understand if you'd rather not open it in public. But it's addressed to you." Marlowe turned to the guard. "Escort him out. Last thing I need is some delivery boy wasting my time before an investor meeting." The guard stepped forward, but the man's voice cut through the tension. Calm, polite, but firm. "Actually, Mr. Marlowe, this is your investor meeting." The CEO stopped mid-step. "What did you just say?" The man set the package on the table. 10 o'clock. Meeting with your newest private backer, Noah Reed." A slow, stunned silence spread through the lobby. "You're—" Marlowe's tone faltered for the first time. "You're Noah Reed?" The man smiled faintly. "That's right. I wanted to see how your company treats people before signing anything." The guard froze. The receptionist's face drained of color. Employees stared, wide-eyed. Marlowe blinked, unsure whether to apologize or defend himself. You should have said something earlier." "I did," Noah replied. "You just weren't listening." He tapped the package. "That's the investment proposal. It's still sealed. Whether I open it or not depends on what I've seen today." And with that, he turned away, leaving the powerful CEO speechless for the first time in his career. 30 minutes later, the top floor of Marlowe Innovations felt heavier than usual. The panoramic skyline view looked more like a spotlight than scenery. Every executive, assistant, and department head sat in uneasy silence around the long glass table, waiting for Charles Marlowe to speak. At the head of the table, the CEO looked visibly shaken, something no one had ever seen before. His silver cufflinks gleamed under the ceiling lights as he clasped his hands tightly, trying to hide the tremor in his fingers. The elevator chimed, and every head turned. Noah Reed stepped in. Gone was the brown package. Now he carried only a black notebook and a pen. Still no suit, no tie, no arrogance. Just calm authority that somehow made the entire room straighten up instinctively. "Mr. Reed," Marlowe said, forcing a strained smile. "Apologies for the misunderstanding earlier. I wasn't aware that I was the investor?" Noah finished for him, setting his notebook down. "Yes, I gathered that." A nervous laugh rippled across the table, but Noah didn't join in. His gaze scanned the room, sharp, unhurried, quietly assessing. "I wanted to experience your company," Noah said finally, his tone even. "Not from a polished presentation, but from the ground floor. From how your people treat others." One of the executives, a man in a blue tie, leaned forward. "Mr. Reed, with all due respect, our company has a strict hierarchy. It's not personal, it's professional." Noah smiled thinly. "Professionalism is when you treat everyone with respect, not just those above you." The executive shrank back in his chair. Marlowe cleared his throat. "Mr. Reed, you have to understand, we deal with high-stakes investors, corporate clients, deadlines. We don't have time to be decent?" Noah interrupted, his voice calm but firm. "You don't have time to treat people like humans? You think efficiency replaces empathy?" The room went dead silent. Noah turned his gaze back to Marlowe. "You've built an empire here, Mr. Marlowe. But tell me, how much of it would survive if your people stopped fearing you?" Marlowe shifted uncomfortably. "Fear keeps order. Fear kills loyalty," Noah replied, leaning forward slightly. "Respect builds it." The words landed like a hammer. Several executives lowered their eyes, afraid to even breathe. Noah opened his notebook. "Let's talk numbers, shall we?" He flipped to a page. "Employee turnover, 34%. Sick leave, triple the national average. Anonymous internal reviews, over 100 complaints of toxic culture. Does that sound like a healthy company to you?" Marlowe's jaw clenched. "You've been researching us." "Extensively," Noah said. "I don't invest blindly. But here's what I couldn't find. A single record of you ever promoting someone from your entry-level ranks. Not one. Tell me, Mr. Marlowe, what happens to the people who start at the bottom here?" No one spoke. The silence said enough. Noah sat back, crossing his arms. "See, when I walked in this morning, your receptionist smiled, but only with her mouth. Your security guard moved like he was trained to remove people, not protect them. And you, Mr. Marlowe? You looked at me and saw someone beneath you. Not an opportunity. Not a partner. Just a delivery guy." Marlowe's face flushed. That was a mistake." "Yes," Noah said softly. "But not your first." He paused, letting the words hang in the air. "And here's the truth. I didn't come here looking for a company to invest in. I came here looking for a leader worth investing in." The executives exchanged uncertain glances. No one dared to interrupt. Marlowe tried to regain his composure. "Look, Mr. Reed, maybe we got off on the wrong foot. I'd like to show you what this company can really do. We've got groundbreaking tech, renewable projects." "I've seen your projects," Noah said. "Impressive on paper. But do you know what else I've seen? Smaller startups doing more with less because they believe in their people." He leaned forward again, eyes locked on the CEO. "Your empire looks solid, Charles. But it's hollow. The foundation's cracking. And you don't even see it." Marlowe's voice dropped. "Are you saying you won't invest?" "I'm saying I haven't decided yet," Noah replied. "But I'll tell you this, I don't invest in numbers. I invest in people. Show me there's someone here worth believing in, and maybe I'll reconsider." Then he stood, closing his notebook. "Until then, I'll keep my checkbook closed." He turned toward the door, but paused as he reached it. "Oh, and Mr. Marlowe?" The CEO looked up, tight-lipped. "Next time you see someone in the lobby, in a uniform, with dust on their shoes, remember something." Marlowe waited. Noah's tone softened, but his words cut deep. "They might be the one holding the keys to your future." And with that, he walked out, leaving the boardroom stunned and silent. Marlowe stared after him, his reflection in the polished table looking smaller than he'd ever felt. For the first time in decades, the man who thought he owned everything realized he might have nothing that truly mattered. That night, Charles Marlowe sat alone in his corner office, the city skyline glowing through the floor-to-ceiling windows. His empire sparkled outside, but his reflection looked hollow. For years, that reflection was his proof of success, the suit, the view, the power. But now, it just stared back like a stranger. Noah Reed's words wouldn't stop echoing in his mind. "I didn't come here looking for a company to invest in. I came looking for a leader worth believing in." The phrase haunted him. He'd built everything from the ground up, but maybe somewhere along the way he had lost sight of the ground entirely. His assistant, Claire, stepped in quietly. "Sir, everyone's gone home. Should I lock up?" Marlowe didn't look up. "Leave the lights on tonight." Claire hesitated. "You all right, Mr. Marlowe?" He almost said yes, but then stopped himself. "Do you think I'm a good boss, Claire?" The question caught her off guard. "You've built an amazing company." "That's not what I asked." She looked at him for a long second, then said softly, "You expect perfection, and sometimes that scares people." Marlowe nodded slowly. "Thank you." After she left, he pulled out an old framed photo, his first workshop 25 years ago. Back then, it was just him, 2 employees, and a dream. No marble floors, no security guards, just grease, laughter, and late nights. He remembered a quote he used to tell new hires: "The only title that matters here is human being." When had that changed? The next morning, the building buzzed with whispers. Noah Reed had scheduled a follow-up visit. The receptionist who'd brushed him off was near tears. The security guard kept checking his tie. Even the executives arrived early, straightening their jackets every 5 minutes. At 10 a.m. sharp, the doors slid open again, and Noah walked in, smiling faintly as if nothing had happened. "Morning, everyone," he said. "Is Mr. Marlowe in?" The receptionist stood instantly. "Why, yes, sir. He's expecting you." Marlowe appeared at that very moment. No suit jacket, no tie, just a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up. His usual arrogance had been replaced by something quieter, heavier. "Noah," he said, extending his hand. "Thank you for coming back." Noah shook it. "Didn't expect me, did you?" "I didn't expect you to give me another chance," Marlowe admitted. "I didn't," Noah said simply. "I came to see what you'd do with it." Marlowe nodded. "Then follow me." They walked through the offices together, through departments that used to go silent when Charles passed by. But today something was different. He stopped by the janitor mopping the hallway. "Morning, George." The man blinked, stunned. Good morning, Mr. Marlowe. Thank you for keeping this place spotless," Charles said. "I know it's not easy." George smiled nervously. "Just doing my job, sir." Marlowe clapped him on the shoulder. "Your job keeps this place running." Noah watched quietly, saying nothing. Then they passed through the cafeteria. Charles stopped again. "Linda," he said to the cook behind the counter, "I never thanked you for those early mornings. I know you've been here longer than most of my managers." Her eyes softened. "Didn't think you even knew my name, sir." He smiled faintly. "I didn't, but I should have." By the time they reached the executive floor, Noah finally spoke. "You're trying." "I'm starting," Marlowe corrected. "I can't fix years of arrogance overnight." Noah nodded approvingly. "Good answer." In the boardroom, Marlowe called in his department heads. They looked nervous, like children waiting for punishment. "Relax," he said. "No one's in trouble today. I just need to say something." He looked around the table, meeting every eye. "I spent years chasing numbers, profits, partnerships, power. But I forgot that the best investment is people. Yesterday, I treated someone like a delivery boy because I thought titles defined worth." He turned toward Noah. "But I was wrong. Worth has nothing to do with titles. It's about integrity." The room was silent. Some nodded. Others just stared in disbelief. Noah leaned forward slightly. "And what are you going to do about it?" "I'm changing the culture," Marlowe said firmly. "Starting today, every department will launch an internal mentorship program. The lowest-ranked employees will have direct access to senior management. And once a month we'll have an open forum. No suits, no titles, no hierarchy. Just people talking like people." One executive frowned. "Sir, that's not standard corporate practice." "Neither is success without compassion," Marlowe replied. "And look where standard practice got us." Noah's lips curved into a faint smile. "Maybe there's hope for you after all." "Hope's all I've got left to earn," Marlowe said quietly. When the meeting ended, Noah stood by the window watching the employees downstairs. People he'd seen ignored, brushed aside. Today they looked lighter. Maybe it was curiosity, maybe disbelief. But something was shifting. Charles joined him. "I can't change who I was," he said. "But I can change what I stand for." "Then you've already started leading," Noah said. Marlowe looked out at the sunrise reflecting on the tower's glass. "You're still not investing, are you?" Noah smirked. "Not yet." "Then what will it take?" "A little more proof," Noah said. "Let's see if you can practice what you preach when it's not for show." Marlowe nodded. "Fair enough." They shook hands again. This time, not as a CEO and investor, but as two men learning something valuable about power and humility. A week later, life inside Marlowe Innovations looked different. The polished floors still shone. The digital billboards still flashed stock updates. But something else had shifted. Something you couldn't quantify in quarterly reports. Employees smiled more. People greeted the janitor by name. The receptionist actually meant it when she said, "Good morning." Charles Marlowe had done what no one thought possible. He had changed. Or at least that's what everyone believed. But Noah Reed wasn't convinced yet. He had seen this before, CEOs putting on a performance when the investors' eyes were watching. He needed to know if Charles's humility was real, not rehearsed. So he decided to test him. That Thursday morning, Noah arrived at the building early, long before business hours. He wore a plain gray hoodie, jeans, and sneakers. No expensive watch. No driver. Just another face in the crowd. As he entered the lobby, a young janitor was mopping near the elevator. The man nodded politely. "Morning, sir." "Morning," Noah replied. "Mind if I wait here?" "Not at all. Elevator starts running in 10 minutes. Noah smiled. "Thanks." He waited, watching the rhythm of the early morning. Security guards chatting, the cleaning crew finishing up. It was the kind of work no one noticed but everyone relied on. Then the glass doors opened and Charles Marlowe walked in. No driver, no entourage, no phone in hand. Just him carrying 2 paper coffee cups. He spotted the janitor and approached with a nod. "Good work, Danny. I brought you a coffee. 2 sugars, right?" The janitor froze, surprised. Yes, sir." "You didn't have to." "I wanted to," Charles said, handing it over. "Can't run a company if the floors aren't shining." Noah stood in the corner, arms folded, quietly watching. There was no camera crew, no executives, no one to impress. And yet Marlowe meant every word. When the elevator opened, Charles saw Noah and paused, genuine surprise flickering in his eyes. "Noah? You're early." "I like early," Noah said. "You see people's truth before the world wakes up." Charles smiled faintly. "Then I hope you liked what you saw." I did, Noah said, following him into the elevator. But I'm not done looking. Later that morning, Noah joined the staff cafeteria, unannounced, uninvited. He sat among interns, line employees, and a few warehouse workers. They spoke freely, unaware of who he really was. Ever since that new policy, things feel different, one woman said. Mr. Marlowe actually talks to us now. Not like a boss, more like a person. Yeah, another agreed. He even helped fix the printer last week. I thought I was hallucinating. Noah chuckled to himself. This wasn't fake PR energy. This was ripple effect, and it was real. Still, he needed one last confirmation. That afternoon, an email landed in Marlowe's inbox. It was short and signed and sent from an anonymous address. To Mr. Charles Marlowe, you claim to care about your people now. Let's see if you mean it. A single mother in your distribution branch is about to be fired for missing her shift. She was at the hospital with her sick child. HR says policy is policy. What will you do? Charles read it twice, brows furrowing. He didn't call his assistant. He didn't forward it to HR. He grabbed his keys and headed straight to the distribution center, 40 miles out of town. By the time he arrived, the sun had started to dip. Workers were clocking out. He walked straight to the floor manager's office. I heard about Sarah Holt, Charles said without introduction. The manager looked up, startled. Sir, yes, she's missed 2 shifts. We followed policy. Policy without compassion isn't leadership, Charles interrupted. She's a single mom with a sick child. Did anyone even ask what happened? The manager hesitated. No, sir. We just... Then call her, Charles ordered. Right now. Moments later, a trembling voice came through the phone. Mr. Marlowe? Sarah, this is Charles Marlowe. I just wanted to say, take care of your child. Your job's safe. The woman started crying on the other end. Thank you, sir. You have no idea what this means. I do, he said quietly. Because once upon a time, I forgot that business runs on people, not policies. He hung up, took a deep breath, and walked back to his car, unaware that Noah Reed had been standing at the far end of the hallway, watching the entire scene. No cameras, no audience, no PR stunt, just genuine humanity. The next morning, Noah entered Marlowe's office with something in his hand, the sealed investment package from their first meeting. Charles stood, confused. You kept that. I did, Noah said, because I wasn't sure if you deserved to open it. He placed it on the desk. Now I'm sure. Charles stared at the envelope for a long time before opening it. Inside was a simple document, 1 page, signed, with Noah's company letterhead. $50 million partnership. Immediate transfer. Full strategic integration. Charles looked up, stunned. You're serious? Noah smiled. Completely. You've proven what I needed to see. Not how well you lead a company, but how well you lead yourself. For the first time, Charles's eyes misted. Thank you. I won't waste this. Noah extended his hand. Don't thank me. Thank the man who gave his janitor a cup of coffee. They shook hands, firm, genuine, and equal. For once, Charles Marlowe wasn't the man who had it all. He was the man who finally earned it. 2 months later, the top floor of Marlowe Innovations didn't look like the same place. The cold marble and silence had been replaced with life. Laughter in the hallways, people talking over coffee, sunlight streaming through open blinds instead of hiding behind tinted glass. Charles Marlowe stood by his office window, watching a group of employees chat by the fountain outside. They weren't afraid anymore. They were proud. And for the first time in years, so was he. He picked up a small note card sitting on his desk. It was from Sarah Holt, the warehouse employee he'd saved from being fired. Thank you for believing in me. My son's better now, and I just got promoted to supervisor. You changed more than my job, you changed how I see people. Charles smiled faintly, setting the note beside another object, the once sealed investment envelope from Noah Reed, the same one that had changed his life. A soft knock came at the door. "Come in," he said. Noah stepped in, wearing his usual calm expression, this time with no briefcase, no documents, just a quiet presence. "Thought I'd drop by," Noah said, leaning against the doorframe. "Place looks different." "It feels different too," Charles replied. "I used to think success meant control. Now I think it means trust." Noah nodded approvingly. "How are the people?" "Thriving. We started the mentorship program, janitors, cooks, receptionists. Everyone's getting cross-trained. We even gave the cleaning staff stock options." Noah raised an eyebrow, amused. "Stock options? Why not?" Charles said, grinning. "They're the ones keeping the building upright." "True enough," Noah said. "Sounds like you've been busy." Charles looked at him seriously. "You never told me why you really tested me, Noah. Why come in as a delivery guy instead of an investor?" Noah paused, his eyes softening. "Because I've been you before." Charles frowned. "What do you mean?" "I used to run a startup," Noah said quietly. 15 years ago. It failed, not because of the market, not because of funding, because I treated people like tools instead of teammates. One day, my best engineer walked out. He said, "You can build a company without people, but it won't have a soul." He exhaled slowly. That stuck with me. When I built Reed Investments, I promised myself I'd only back people who understood that truth. I needed to know if you did. Charles's gaze lowered. "And now?" Noah smiled faintly. "Now I think your company's got a soul again." They stood in silence for a moment, the weight of redemption settling between them. "By the way," Noah added casually, "there's something else you should know. That janitor you gave coffee to last week? He's studying engineering. I paid his tuition this morning, in your company's name." Charles blinked, surprised. "You did what?" Noah chuckled. "You inspired it. He said he wants to design sustainable systems like the ones we're developing. You turned a cleaning job into a stepping stone." Charles smiled, shaking his head. "Guess one act of kindness goes a long way." Noah nodded. "Further than any investment." Later that day, Charles called an all-hands meeting. The company cafeteria filled with people, executives and interns sitting side by side. No one wore suits. The atmosphere was open, warm, real. Charles stepped onto the small stage and looked out at them. "I've spent most of my life chasing titles. CEO, founder, visionary. But the best title I've ever earned is simply human." The room was silent, everyone listening. "When I started this company, I wanted to build the future. But I forgot that the future isn't built by numbers, it's built by people. Every delivery person, every cleaner, every assistant, every dreamer who keeps showing up. You are this company." Applause began to spread, slow at first, then thunderous. Some employees stood, others wiped tears from their eyes. Charles's voice softened. "And I want you all to remember something. When someone looks down on you, let them. Just keep building, keep believing. Because someday, they might work for you." The crowd erupted in cheers. Noah, standing at the back, smiled quietly. He didn't need credit. He'd seen what he came to see. Not a CEO reborn, but a leader rediscovered. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the skyline, Charles and Noah stood outside by the fountain. Charles looked up at the building that once felt cold and lifeless. "You know," he said, "I used to think this place owned me. Now, it feels like I finally own it." Noah sipped his coffee. "You don't own it, Charles. You earned it." They both laughed softly, the sound blending with the hum of the city. Then, out of habit, Charles reached into his pocket and pulled out a single coin, the kind he used to flick at delivery drivers years ago when he was too proud to tip. He looked at it for a long moment, then flipped it into the fountain. Noah raised an eyebrow. "Making a wish?" "No," Charles said, watching the ripples spread. "Making amends." Weeks later, an email went out to all employees. Subject: New company motto. Every job matters. Every voice counts. Every person builds the dream. Charles Marlowe. The email went viral online, shared by employees across social media. Journalists called it a corporate culture miracle. But Charles didn't care about headlines anymore. He cared about the people who made the lights turn on every morning, and the ones who once walked past him invisible. That night he got a message from Noah. You passed the real test, Charles. You learned the one thing money can't buy: humility. Charles smiled at the screen. Then he turned off his phone, walked through the now bustling office, and said goodnight to every employee by name. For once, the man who used to rule from above walked among his people, equal, grounded, and free. Because sometimes the richest investment isn't in a company. It's in becoming the kind of person worth believing in.